All right. Hello, everybody. Happy week 16. Hope you guys have had a great week. Can't complain. Thanks to all of you for the birthday wishes. I really appreciate that. Had a good week on, took a couple of walks to look for blooms, which I've posted up. I also, Monday, we celebrated by going, I don't know if any of you shop at Total Beverage, but if you do and you register your birthday, you get a bottle of wine for $0.01 on your birthday. So had to go get my wine, and then I also got a free pizza from Papa Murphy's. So that was my freebie birthday celebration on Monday. So that was fun. Not much else to say this week, but I've had a good week so far. Hope you all have been enjoying your spring and are ready for today. So today we're going to make a pendant, and our pendant is inspired by a hurricane. It's also going to be sparkly because we have to use crystals. We're using brass as our metal color in it today, and we are using a carabiner clasp. So we'll talk a little bit about carabiner clasps. In fact, let me grab a carabiner while I'm thinking about it. Other announcements. Guess what I got this week? Our new cards. I know it's backwards for you right now, but our Desert Southwest expansion deck is here. So I'm very excited about that, as well as our Desert Blooms bead mix, which I had especially curated with the help of Beadoria. So these are beautiful crystals, and I was able to get all this stuff in before the tariffs hit, so I'm very excited. Prices have still gone up a little bit, but not too much. So it'll be comparable to our normal pricing. Hey, I see a couple people are popping on. You just missed my announcement. New cards, new crystal bead mix. So we do have our Desert Southwest expansion deck in, as well as the bead mix. I'm also doing a metal mix, which I'm not, I don't have completely put together yet. So that will, I will get that ready, and then I'm going to put all those up for sale. So looking forward to sharing all that with you guys. What else was, seems like I had some other announcements. I don't know what it was. Sorry. Well, when we get there, right? So, I'm happy to be back. I know it's been a quiet week because, other people are on spring break this week. So, if you guys, I always appreciate you guys joining me. If you're catching me on the replay, please let me know. I'd love to know who's joining me. Hey, Janelda. And, if you haven't already, please follow Desert Cat Creations on on Facebook and Instagram, and we're also on YouTube, and we would love it if you subscribe. I am at about 20 subscribers, which isn't great, but I haven't put a lot of content out there yet, but I need to get to 50 subscribers so I can do live, and I have that option as well. So hopefully we'll be able to go on both screens at some point. Hey, Patricia. Nice to see you. Oh, hope you have a good show. Oh, you're very welcome for your gift. I hope you enjoy it. So, it's the end of the month. Next week's the end of the month, so we have to get ready for this month's giveaway. And once again, Not sure what that's going to be, but we'll figure that out before next week. So I guess next Thursday would be our, yeah, next Thursday. Is that the 30th or is that the 1st? I don't know. I have to look at my calendar, but next week will be our drawing for our April giveaway. So, yay. So anyways, let's get started with our project today. So we are, just a reminder, let me go ahead and flip you over and see if I can successfully zoom the screen in again. Oops. That looks pretty good. Yay! That's so exciting that I am able to do that now. So anyways, our task today is to make a pendant. And we're going to use some crystals in our pendant. We are going to use brass in our pendant. We are going to use a carabiner clasp. And we are going to use some inspiration from a hurricane. So just a reminder, you know, if a big carabiner is like this is one you would use to connect bigger things, you know, right onto, you know, backpack or whatever. They also have the kind that have, you know, that screws together, so it holds a little better. This one is, you know, flips like our clasp that we used last week, that we talked about. But the jewelers make a lot of these little tiny carabiner clasps. So we're going to use this tiny one today. And I'm actually going to use it as my bail for my pendant. Now, this particular one, I got this at one of the local hobby shops, has a very small opening, so you'll see that I will be struggling to get it onto my my loop that I'm going to use to make my pendant. But, you know, it is an option, and it would fit fine on, like, just regular beading wire, right? So let's see what else we're going to use. So for brass, I have this brass ring, so it's going to be the background of my design. And I also have some brass spacer beads and some brass wire. So we are going to use all that. So our brass is represented, right? Crystals, I have an assortment of crystals that I just pulled out, and like I said, we've got my clasp, we've got my brass, and I'm just gonna move these cards out of the way so I can dump this and separate things out. So I am going to use an assortment of crystals. I may not use all of these, but I pulled out a bunch of different things here, different sizes. Let me get my brass off to the side. I also have some brass jump rings, and you'll see what I'm going to do. So crystal-wise, I'm going to use these teardrop shaped, and they are going to be raindrops under our crystal, because, you know, there's lots of rain in a hurricane, right? And like I said, I have these group of crystals. Most of them are from my from a recent Friday Night Live with Stars Beads and Suzanne England. So I thought these kind of purpley gray and some gray and some, you know, really pale blue could help represent kind of the colors of the clouds and the storms, you know, in a hurricane, right? Now I've just got some extra beads here. Just, we'll see how that goes together. And from Stars Beads and Beadoria, this was quite a while back. I bought this strand of Amazonite, and it has some different shapes, and it has sort of a cloud-shaped bead. So we're going to use that to represent our cloud today. So we're going to do some wire wrapping and some sort of weaving on the onto this ring. So okay, so one of the first things I'm going to do is I am going to put some wire wrapping so that I have a loop on the top of my teardrops. So let's start there. I also, and I may or may not throw them in, have some lightning bolts from this month's bargain bead box. So I might throw those in as well, but they're not brass, they're silver. But you know, my clasp is also silver and brass, so you know, we're already doing mixed metals, so mixed metals are always fun, right? So, all right, so let's cut a little wire off so we can make some loops on our raindrops here. You don't need much, but this is really thin wire. Matter of fact, I don't even know what it is. This is a freebie that came from somewhere. It looks to me like it's probably 26 gauge wire. So it is really thin, so I do want, you know, a decent amount. So I'm gonna cut 5 inches. We'll see how that goes. I know many of you, fortunately it's not hurricane season yet. Apparently we're supposed to get a lot of monsoons this year, which we could really use. We had a really dry winter. But I know many of you have been getting quite a bit of rain, depending on where you live. So, all right, so I'm putting the wire through the top. And again, with these kind of crystals, you want to use some thin wire because thick wire could end up breaking the top of your crystal, right? So, so I'm just going to sort of make a triangle above it, and then I am going to wrap the short end around around this other wire so that I can make that make my loop. Janelda, I liked your bracelet and your use of buttons. I've never tried using 4-hole buttons on a bracelet before, so that was something something new for me. Oh, speaking of buttons, so I don't know how many of you live near a Joann's store, and you know they're going out of business, which I'm a little sad because I don't buy much from there, but they do have some things that I love that you can only get there. But I went Monday and was able to still find at my Joann's some great metal buttons that were 90% off. So it was like 45 cents for my buttons. And I know like yesterday they had dropped things down with an extra 25% off. So they're only open, at least our store here is only open for like 3 more days. It was pretty cleared out. And you know, of course it's getting worse. So I made a loop in here with using the long wire, and now I'm just wrapping the wire around, and I'm going to go all the way down over the top of the teardrop because I want it to hold snugly in this wire. So you're making sort of a bead cap in a way, and it offers some protection for that top of the crystal so it won't get knocked around. Then I'm going down however far I want, but then I'm going to just continue wrapping back up just to strengthen this, and so I can tuck it in. We're going to do this again, so still got one more chance to see it because I was going to put 3 teardrops on there. All right, so that's what the finished ones look like, and I got one more to do. So again, we're going to use 5 inches of wire. So Patricia, where's your show at this weekend? I've seen several people have, you know, some shows, various shows coming up this week. This is kind of the quiet time around here. Things are starting to, you know, people are clearing out. We have a lot of people that come here just for the winter. They're all starting to head home. And then things get really quiet because everybody stays inside because it's too hot to do anything. So I'm not doing a beautiful job, but the good news is I'm going to wrap over that so it's not going to show. So let's make our little loop. And you know, you can make this, I'm making my neck on these things kind of long. You could make it shorter, but again, you just want enough there to protect the crystal. And like I said, I'm going to wrap down below where the hole goes through, right? For some reason this one looking a little sloppier, but you know what? We're figure with my hurricane theme, I can be a little sloppy because hurricanes are messy, right? Okay, so we got our 3 teardrops. Now, because like I was talking about, I'm using this clasp as my bail, and because the opening is so small there, I'm going to go ahead and put this on my loop before I start putting things on my loop. So Greenville. Oh yeah, you were talking about that. That's great. Yeah, that sounds like fun. I have my in-laws live in Knoxville, so been there a few times. But I think I've driven through Greenville as well. When I used to come down from Virginia, we used to drive down. All right, so you'll see how I'm going to use this as the bail. So I've got it on there, and now the only problem is I'm just going to have to work around it because, like I said, otherwise it was going to be difficult to put that on there. So what I'm thinking now is that I'm going to wire up this cloud across here. Now, I will say I love the color of these. The only thing I don't like about this is I wish the hole went vertical as opposed to horizontal. So that's why we're going to wire wrap it onto this loop now. The question is, I'm going to wrap other things around it. Do I use a really long piece of wire, or do I just hook that one on? I think I will do a longer piece for the moment, but we'll see. All right, come on. My wire is acting like it's stuck in here. All right. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna pull, about 15 inches off. I really probably don't need that much but it just means we'll continue wrapping other stuff, right? So I'm going to I'm going to wrap a couple times around one side of this ring. And then we'll put the bead on. All right, so I wrapped it, I think 4 times, 3 would have been fine, but I just went until I ran out of wire. You could do it shorter. Just gonna tighten this up a little so that it kind of holds it in place. Although I really don't think it's going to hold in place until I get some other stuff on here. All right. So now I need to make sure my cloud, all right. So, I have to make the decision since well, actually it flips over. Never mind. I do not have to decide which is the front and which is the back yet. But I do need to decide if there's a front or back of this bead that I want. And one side seems to be a little flatter, so I think I will put the flatter side near the back. All right, so let's pull that until it's firm, and now I'm going to just pull this wire through a couple times, and I'm probably going to wrap above and below the wire, and I'm going to pull it fairly tight because I want it to hold it in place. And we're not doing a really good job of getting it held in place. So you know what? I think I'm going to go back through my bead again. Just to give it a little extra strength on here, because it's it's a kind of heavy stone, and this is very thin wire. That way I can tie it down a little more on this end. So all right, just wrap that again, and then I'm going to go on the other side, and I'm trying to pull it tight. So good thing about wire is it shouldn't break unless I'm really, really strong, right? So should be able to get it to sit on there. But all right, so we've got our cloud there. So then I thought I would just, put some various crystals. We're just going to wrap them in various spots around here. Now we will have to make sure that our bail ends up at the top, right? So I think, I will just kind of randomly put some of these big crystals on, and then we can put some little ones in as needed to kind of fill in spots, right? And I actually think I'm going to go behind this and maybe put some stuff on the bottom at the same time so that my my center cloud stays put. Right. Didn't want to pull that through there, so let's make sure it stays, and let's get something on the bottom here. I am just doing this randomly, guys, so in case you couldn't tell. Put gray along the bottom here. And we'll see. I mean, these are kind of big crystals, so this may not end up looking quite as cool as it would with smaller ones, but I couldn't find smaller ones in the right colors, right? So, but I will stick a couple of these smaller ones on here. And we'll see how this works. So. And we will put our raindrops on there too, so don't panic. And I'm gonna come back up around here, and we'll put some I think I will put something small on right there. I am sure that there is an easier way to do this, but this is what we're doing, so. And then I'm going to put my other large blue crystal here. And again, like I said, you know, now I may have to decide which way I want my bail, but it should, I think I can still twist it around. You know, normally I would say you would put the bail on at the end, but because, like I said, the opening on this isn't very easy to maneuver, I put it on first. So. So let's see what we think we need. I'm going to wrap around behind this bail. The good news is we can always add more wire if we want to. It's like maybe we could use some small crystals there. So let's just put a couple on. Oh, you know what? I also need put on my brass spacer beads, right? Because I can't forget my brass, even though my ring is brass. But so I'm gonna go behind my cloud. Oops. Actually, I think I'll wrap it around this other, the wire from this other, from the earlier wrap, so that it'll stick up top. And we'll see if that, how that looks. So this crystal, you know, is not in there as tight as I'd like. So the nice thing about wire is you can sometimes just twist and it'll help tighten things up. So it looks like I need to go down to the bottom some more and see what I can do to tighten those crystals up. So I'm just going to go around the wire in between these things. And you know, the back may not look pretty, but it'll it won't show right when you're wearing it. You and I'm just adding some extra weaving in with these crystals on the bottom so that they're more tightly on the ring. So hopefully my cloud still is looking like a cloud. I think we need a crystal on the side here, and then I may just put our raindrops on. Call it a day. Like I said, I just kind of pulled out a number of crystals, not that I would plan to use all of them. I forget what, you know, Kay made those pendants that, you know, just had a bunch of different beads and no sort of order or design to them. I forget what she called them. It was one of the kits for the Great Bead Extravaganza a while back. So, all right. So I'm just gonna wrap this wire up around the side and just until I run out of wire, and to tighten up these ones. So you notice, you know, I'm not really using tools here. This is all by hand, but I will, you know, at the end here, I will tighten it with my pliers. So, you know, if you're somebody who doesn't like to use tools, these are ones that don't require much in the way of tools. It's pretty sloppy looking, but like I said, it's a hurricane, right? So, and we're gonna put our raindrops on still. All right, I'm just, because the wire's getting short, I'm using my pliers to just kind of push it down and around so I can tighten it up around here. And I will show you a little closer. As we do this, so all right, I think that's as much as I'm going to get. So I am going to trim it, and then I am going to squeeze with my pliers there. So right now we've got, that guy didn't like to stay up there. All right, we've got our cloud, we've got some crystals around our cloud. May have to put some stuff around the side. I'm not loving the, that went, but we'll put our raindrops on first. So in theory, I could have, you know, wire wrapped those directly onto the ring, but I just decided I wanted a little more movement, so I'm putting them on jump rings. So hopefully they'll stick out enough. So I'm going to just kind of, so I've got 3 of them, so I am going to stick this jump ring, you know, open the jump rings to the side. Come on. All right. I'm having troubles finding the other end of the jump ring now that I've stuck it in here. It's not coming out where I wanted it. Okay. Problem is I used brass wire and these are brass jump rings, so now I can't see it very well. I'm going to try putting it in from the outside. There we go. All right, so I've got my jump ring here. I'm going to put one of my drops on there, and then we'll gently close the jump ring. And we'll see how that hangs. So we have 1 raindrop there. So again, I always take my jump ring, I put the opening at the top, and then you just twist it open, and try not to twist it any more than necessary, because it can weaken your jump ring. And then once you have your stuff on there, gently grab that side and twist it back. And like I said, I kind of twist it and push it together a little bit, real gently. And we'll put our 3rd one in here. Oops. Right, drop that. It's kind of an awkward angle to have it in there, so I'm going to put it down so I can more easily bring it together. All right. Woohoo. So here we go. We've got our raindrops below our cloud. Just got some other clouds around there. And, you know, you can just slide a chain through this, or, you know, you could put it, permanently on something. What do you guys think? Does it need more crystals? I feel like things aren't locked down very well. I might have to wrap some more wire just to make it a little less, make some of these a little less movable. But I think that we filled all our requirements. So we go. I think we'll save the lightning for something else. So. All right, so let's review this. We made a pendant. Okay. It was inspired by a hurricane, so I got my clouds, I got my rain, and the colors, you know, the kind of blues and purples and grays. We used a carabiner clasp as our bail. We used some brass beads. We used brass wire, and we used a brass ring, even though you can't see the ring anymore. And we used crystals in our design. So I think we hit all our requirements. So let me flip this guy over. Come on. And there, I'll look up close. You know, this is what it would look like. I didn't wear a good shirt for. I'm wearing one of our pendants we made a while back, though. All right. There's what it would look like hanging on there. So you can't really see the raindrops except up close, right? So. But, yay! We finished week 16. And very excited about that. Thanks, guys, for joining me. Let's see. Thursday will be on at our usual time. So, well, and Sunday before that will be on at our usual time. We will do our drawing. I know it's weird to not see me with any bunny ears or anything on my head today, but you know, that's how it works. I am going to continue working on getting my metal mix together so that you have the option of getting the new deck of cards, the bead mix, and the metal mix. And we might discuss the so the colors in my bead mix. I will when I get ready to show you, I will show you my inspiration that we used to put that together. So basically it's representing a lot of the desert blooms, so I'm calling it my Desert Blooms bead mix. The new deck is the Desert Southwest expansion, so it's got things that remind me of the desert. So perhaps, I don't know, I may still wait a couple of weeks before I put it in my cards, but you know, it will have some things like design something inspired by a rodeo or inspired by the Grand Canyon. So those are coming up. This deck does have all 3 types of cards. So you're getting 7 new things to make. And then you're getting a selection of used cards that are things that, you know, you often see in Southwestern style jewelry and stuff. And then, like I said, you'll get another stack of inspiration cards or challenge cards. So just one thing I did notice after I ordered them, that I do have one card that's in common, but it's in common with another expansion deck. So I try not to repeat cards that are in the original deck, with the realization that not everybody's going to get every expansion deck. You know, they may or may not repeat for them, but you know, so you've got a couple of options. You know, if it's a card that you don't care for or something you don't like to work with, you can always take, you know, one of them out if you shuffle everything together, or you just deal with it when it comes up again, right? So I have this is probably the only deck I'm coming out with this year. So, you know, I got everything in before the tariffs hit. I have to, you know, we're gonna have to wait and see what happens with the tariffs after May. because it's going to be harder, especially if they're ridiculously high tariffs. It's going to be harder to make them economical. But I have faith that all of that's going to shuffle back into place and that everything will normalize. But it may be a little while. So anyways, this is probably the only deck that's coming out this year unless things change drastically. But I will have some other kits coming, as well as like I said, the bead mixes. So excited to share all that with you. All right, so Sunday we will be back at noon Pacific time this time of year. I don't know what we're going to do for a project. We may work with the Bargain Bead Box April Showers, since it's still going to be April and I haven't I have not done anything with my kit this year or this month. So we may use Bead Stash Challenge with that, in addition to drawing for our week 17 projects. So I hope you guys have a great week. If you're making something or working on it, remember, if you don't have cards or you don't want to draw your cards and you want to use our cards, you are always welcome to do that. If you post in the in our Bead Stash Challengers group, you will be in for our monthly drawing, which will take place whatever our first show is in May. Like I said, I have to look at my calendar, but I think it's next Thursday. And I don't know yet what I'm giving away, but we'll tackle that this week. I will give some more thought to what I want to give away. And then, like I said, the drawing will be there, so get yourself in. Janelda, I will definitely put you on the list. So being in Texas, I'm sure that, and since you used to be here, you'll like hopefully like all the Southwest stuff. I realize that people live in the Southwest don't necessarily like Southwest stuff, but hopefully it'll be some fun inspirations and projects. So anyways, have a great rest of the week. I will see you all on Sunday, and thanks again for your support. Again, please like and follow us if you haven't already. Desert Cat Creations on Facebook, as well as Instagram and YouTube. And YouTube, if you could subscribe, that would be wonderful, because like I said, I want to be able to do, I want to be able to show things simultaneously. So, all right. Thanks again. We'll see you on Sunday. Bye.